I'm back. So it's been a while since my last episode of Flavor and Fiction. It's been a long summer. I've been battling with no AC. I finally have some, so I'm nice and cool and feel like I can cook again in my apartment, so I'm back. And I decided to return with a motivational book. Sorry if I'm moving around a lot. I don't have my stand. It's a long story. Anyway, I've decided to return with a motivational book. It's called The Secret to Success by Eric Thomas. I'll put it over here. And if you don't know who Eric Thomas is, he's a former NFL player. I think he played for the Bengals and the Jets and the Broncos. But now he is known as E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher. How did that happen? Well, you got to read the book to find out. But I'll give you a little bit. Before we get too into that, I know you're wondering what our secret ingredient is for the day. Well, it is steak. Yes, finally, steak. And the reason it's steak is because Eric Thomas, before he became a homeless high school dropout, he threw a party in his parents' home when they were away. And he took a steak that his dad was saving and marinating in the fridge, and he had the nerve to cook it and eat it. So that's why our secret ingredient is steak today. And I've decided to make pepper steak. And here's a little picture. And I'll put the recipe at the end, down below. So I actually made the recipe last night for dinner. Normally, I know I talk, I cook, I talk, I cook, but I'm just gonna insert pieces here and there because I wanted to have it for dinner and it was too late, so I couldn't do all this. So here I am. First thing we do is put in 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. Okay, next thing we want to do, you're supposed to just add red and green peppers, but since yellow came with this and I'm not going to use it for anything else, I don't want to waste it. I'm just going to rinse them off, get the rest of these seeds out and stuff like that, and then dump it on in. So you're just going to cook them for 3 to 4 minutes and then take them out the pan. Put them on a plate. They'll come back in, don't worry. Okay, veggies out. Time for meat to go in. All right, so we're going to turn the heat to high, which I've done. I added a little more oil to the pan, and we're going to add some salt and pepper. And then you're going to cook it for about 5 to 6 minutes. Okay, it's time to add 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. And my hand is all red from opening this jar. It hurts so bad. So we're going to put in 2 teaspoons. I'm not even doing full teaspoons because I feel like I'm sensitive to garlic. I don't know. Okay, now this is my first time buying crushed ginger. It's frozen, and one of these little things equals 1 teaspoon, so it's so convenient. Thanks for telling me about it, Bill. Here we go, little frozen cube. Boop. And we're just gonna mix this all in till that thing unfreezes. All right, here go the peppers. Smells so good. And then we have to mix up the sauce that we're going to add to this. So let's do that now. And then we're going to put the rice on. Okay, so we're going to mix 1/4 cup of water. I'm just going to mix everything in the measuring bowl because that'll save me a little bowl. So we got our 1/4 cup of water. Then we're going to add 1/4 cup of soy sauce. Okay, now we're going to add 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. And now 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch. All right, let's give that a little mix before we pour it over our meat and peppers. All right, we're going to pour that right on in. And then we're going to turn this down to a simmer. So you're supposed to let it simmer until you see the sauce thickening up, which it is. And it smells really good. And I should have put my rice on before, but I got the water on now. Cannot wait for dinner. So after the incident I mentioned, the one where he ate his dad's steak, there was this huge fight, this huge blow up. He was already having some issues with his parents. But that's when he like physically got into it with his father and left home. And after that, he ended up staying in abandoned buildings. He was couch surfing. He was trying to stay in high school, but it became too much. So he ended up dropping out once he got into dealing drugs. So he just went downhill fast, just for throwing a party. So it was actually one of his drug dealing friends that got him into going to church. And when he went to church, it's this whole big, beautiful story, but I'll let you read that. When he got to church, he met some people that really nurtured him, which is what should happen when you are a young person and you get to church. Somebody kind of takes you under their wing. And he also met the love of his life there. So church ended up working out pretty good for Eric Thomas. And that's what kind of led him on the road to becoming a minister. But before he even had those thoughts, he was coached into taking the GED from the influences at church. They wanted him to take his GED. That led him to applying to college on a whim. He didn't even think he'd get in, but he did. So just one by one, once he attributes everything to finding God and to finding those influences at church. Once he got to school, he wasn't doing so well. His grades were dropping, but he got involved in some ministry there at college. And after some pushing and prodding from his soon-to-be wife, his fiance now, he kind of picked up the pace and got it together. I mean, he had a lot of years of struggle, but I don't want to give you too much because his story is really interesting. I actually first heard about Eric Thomas when I was looking at these motivational videos on YouTube. I know, corny, whatever. And any like motivational montage, you're going to hear something from Eric Thomas. He's usually very high-spirited. My sister makes fun of me because I listen to him before I work out because he's very like, you can get up, you can do one more, you gotta want it more than you want to breathe. Like, he's very that, which works for some people, me, I guess. So yeah, you've probably heard his voice and don't even know about it. So one thing that separates Eric Thomas from the pack is his energy. And he'll even say that he used to look at Michael Jordan, like he stopped watching the game of basketball itself and would just study Jordan and be like, what is in him to make him so great, to make him so much better than everyone? And it's his energy. And he felt like, you know what, if I'm going to succeed, I have to put 100% energy into everything I do. And when you hear him talk, you'll hear the energy coming out of him. So that's the one thing, is that you can have talent, but if you're the hardest worker in the room, you can beat talent. So if there's one thing to take away from Eric Thomas, it's that. So I'm going to cut away to back to the recipe now so you can see how it turned out. Okay, the food is finally ready. And I have plated just a little bit to give it a little taste test here. So let's see if this is a success. It's really good. It's so flavorful. It's so good. The only thing I would do differently is, because it took me so long to do everything, like open the jar of minced garlic, I would maybe cook the meat a little less. I cooked it a little long. It could be a little more tender, but the flavor's on point. It's delicious. I don't know if I'm just hungry or if this is really good, but either way, it's getting eaten. And the best part is there's enough left over there that I can meal prep for a couple of days. So I'm excited. I'm going to post the recipe, of course, in the description, along with a link to the book. You can get it on Kindle. And I think this has been the secret to my success. So as you can see, the food came out great, thankfully. I got my leftovers for lunch for 3 days, so it's going to be great. Before I sign off, I just wanted to add that Eric Thomas has been through a lot. He had a moment a very traumatic moment, where he found out that his father was not his biological father. And then later in life, when he's this big motivational speaker, his biological father decides to drop in. You know how when you get big, people want to start coming around? Like you win the lottery and all of a sudden your second cousin, thrice removed, shows up out of the woodworks. It was very bad. So like he's been through some stuff, but his energy and his passion really, and his faith is really what keeps him afloat in this world. And there's one thing, speaking of passion, that he said he doesn't need an alarm clock because his passion wakes him up. I can't imagine. Maybe it's just me and my job, but I set 3 alarms in the morning. That's not a good sign, I guess. But, you know, we should all aim to be somewhere where our passion wakes us up. I think that's amazing. So if you were looking for a good recipe and a good pick-me-up, you found them both right here. And in the words of Eric Thomas, look in the mirror, that's your competition. So that's my little inspirational tidbit as you head into the week. And be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.